Audio Network.
How you doing, everyone? We back in the game. This is Nick.
And this is Dylan.
And welcome to episode 301 of the Forte podcast. In our long 10-year run as most popular podcast on the internet.
Yep, most popular.
We are so happy to have this guest on today. Can everyone please welcome Mr. Dusty Wright?
Pleasure to be here, guys. I think I'm the oldest guy to be on here by like over a decade or more.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think your last guest, when they were born, I was probably, I don't know, 8th grade.
Wow.
Something like that. I don't know.
Were you at their birth?
No, I couldn't. I wasn't able to drive.
Oh, no, I suppose not. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, I believe it's exactly like right over a decade because I think our last guest was 17 and I believe you're 28, right?
29 in about 3 weeks from now.
Okay. So yeah, like 12 years older.
Yeah.
Birthday soon. What do you want for your birthday, Dusty?
I just want my bills paid.
Well, we can't do that. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in.
Send in your money orders to fortepodcast@gmail.com.
Right.
You can send it directly to me at dustywright@gmail.com through PayPal.
All right.
Send it as a friend, though, so I don't have to claim it on taxes.
I'm going to ask... I'm going to try something new, something innovative we haven't done before. I haven't discussed it with Dylan. We'll see how badly it fails.
All right.
What if we, hid Dusty's Forte and maybe, it revealed itself at the proper moment?
I mean, I don't know how that'll work because all the questions are structured around what his Forte is.
Look at this. Dusty, can you explain what you do in the vaguest of terms?
I could say I sit at a computer all day, but that's not a very interesting, vague description.
Well, we are getting live tweets at this moment about what everyone thinks Dusty does. And
how many live tweets are we getting right now, Nicholas?
It's trending, dude. Over 3. Anyway,
all right.
I'm going to come out and reveal it. This is the big one. Everyone ready? Dusty is a lefter. I'm sorry, a writer. I'm sorry, everyone. I got you all. But you are a writer, yes.
Yes, I am.
And I'm going to throw this one out of the way. Everyone, all our viewers are thinking it. Okay. Dusty Wright.
Yeah, it was almost like it was meant to be, wasn't it?
Is it a pseudonym?
No, that's my real name.
Oh, man. On your birth certificate?
Yeah.
Well, great thing we have a copy of your birth certificate. So
did you stick in my house?
We're able to look at it. Yeah, so
that was the guy I almost shot last week.
Yeah.
You were the one sneaking in my house, were you?
Yes, I was.
I was the guy in the car going, all right, come on, let's go. Let's hurry up. I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I think I had my shotgun aimed at you while you were running away.
Oh, I saw it.
So, Dusty, so tell us a little bit about what you do as a writer.
Okay, well, it's kind of a twofold sort of thing. So, I mean, my day job is writing, where I write, like blog posts and, articles and press releases, and sometimes I write sort of, mini chapters for ebooks and basically anything that needs to be written. The very boring stuff. I unfortunately have to write a lot of marketing things, which is not bad, but it's sort of a necessary evil. Nothing I'm really interested in, but it pays the bills. Mm-hmm. And so that's my day job. And so it's you always hear about people saying, oh yeah, it'd be a great way to it'd be a great job to be a writer, or that sounds so awesome. I've had people tell me that off and on, but it kind of sucks sometimes. I know a lot about it. I mean, it's you have to write very boring things. I remember. For about 3 years, I wrote about locksmiths every day.
Wow.
And I still don't know anything about them, but I just kind of faked it those 3 years. But it's you're sort of like a gun for hire when you're a professional writer. You just basically whatever job you can find, if you can kind of negotiate a rate, you write it for people. I have written quite a few essays for people over the years. It's how I got my Christmas buddy, and I haven't really done it this year, but
a ghostwriter.
Yeah, I do ghostwriting things too.
So now you are a ghostwriter, and we all love Nicolas Cage. That's great, but I just wanted I just had to make that joke. I didn't have a question. Anyway,
I mean, yeah. So, all right. So that was the one side of it. You said was the writing that you're hired to do, that you have to do these articles about. What about the other writing that you do?
Well, the other writing I do is the stuff that I enjoy the most, and it's just doing fiction writing. Short stories, or writing chapters of a novel I'm working on at the time. It's the stuff I do on the side. It's the stuff I don't get paid to do yet, but it's a gradual process. So I'm hoping to make maybe some sort of income, through that. But it's one of them things where I don't aim to. I just do it because I love it. It's why I got into writing professionally in the first place, and it's one of those things where I undergo all the boring, tedious things that I write during the day, so I can have the time to free myself up and write what I want to write. So it's sort of like how painters, artists, they have their passion projects, and but a lot of them are stuck writing like paintings for hotels, boring landscapes all day, and they hate it.
Murals or something.
Yeah, but it gives them the freedom to focus on what they really are passionate about. And actually, that's one of the things that Google. I don't know if they're the same way, but that's one of the things that really drove people to go work at Google. In that they had to. There's certain things they had to work on, but they had the free time. They were given the free time. They're on their job to have passion projects to work on. And I think that really helps out a lot. Whenever you have the freedom to really focus on what you want to do, even when you do the things you don't want to.
Yeah, a lot of people are attracted to Google because of that. Yeah, and it's still a startup, starting business. Not too many people know about it, but I think anyway. So you love to do writing, obviously. Yes. What would you say is like your style, your prose? What's your favorite kind of like a genre, I suppose? What do you?
I don't know. I want to say I have like a favorite genre. I like fiction. First of all, I like writing fiction. I'm horrible at poetry. Like every time I try to write poetry, it ends up just being like a short story in stanza form. Like, I remember I had to take like a lot of poetry classes in college, and the professors are like, yeah, you tell good stories, but stick to fiction to short stories because
wow,
this really isn't your forte, which is fun.
And that's why we're having you on the podcast for poetry writing.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think you got the wrong guy.
We have all your professors.
I hear you prepared a sonnet for us.
How many sonnets did Shakespeare write? It was like 152?
You're the one that was in the Shakespeare play, not me.
I don't remember.
Yeah, too many.
All right, so you say you like writing fiction. Like, what kind of fiction do you hope to like someday write for? Like you said, your passion. Like, what kind of books do you hope to write or short stories, whatever, in the fiction genre? Like fantasy, sci-fi, realistic. What kind?
I mean, I don't really have like a genre. I like more things that are dialogue driven. One of my favorite authors is Ernest Hemingway, because I mean the beauty of that guy is that he takes dialogue, but he simplifies it and writes as few words as possible, but it's powerful, and that's what I always
have to study it.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, a lot of people don't like it. I don't blame them.
No,
it gets pretty dry. But I mean, if you sort of look at it objectively, I don't know how he does it, but that's sort of what I've always aimed to do is to make my dialogue that good. And I find that when I write dialogue heavy anything, it doesn't it really doesn't matter what genre it is. I always get a lot of enjoyment out of it, whether it's sci-fi or post-apocalyptic or anything like that. It doesn't matter. It's enjoyable to me.
That's really cool. Like through dialogue, like heavy dialogue, I feel like you find characters come to you, like as
Yeah.
you're writing it,
Yeah,
and like you develop and things?
Yeah, it's funny because when I'm writing something, it's almost like I have an out-of-body experience when I'm typing. It's like I'm actually find myself a lot of times speaking the dialogue out loud in different characters' voices when I don't really realize it, when I don't know who the character is.
Yeah, I get that because like I had to write a short story for some class, but I found that if I just wrote what the characters were saying, I could like fill like 10 pages rather than like spending time going, oh, and the leaves rustled in the wind or whatever. I'd much rather write speaking parts.
Yeah, see that's sort of my thing. It's that I love Stephen King, but I hate how he describes like for 5 pages of what a rock looks like. But
Exactly. Yeah.
the way I write is that it's sort of the opposite. Is that I want the I guess the way I could best describe it is like I like to keep blanks in my story, and that I'll have a few gaps here and there, and I'll explain that through dialogue. But I like the reader to really fill in the blanks, and I think you get a better story like that whenever you're not telling the reader everything there is to know about the story. It's that they can sort of make it their own.
Yeah, that's always the greatest.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it. You think about horror. The best horror novels for for a moment, or horror anything. I mean, if you spent like 10 pages on what a monster looked like, it wouldn't be scary. But if you have a few brief pieces of dialogue where somebody's like, I was being stalked in the middle of the night and I didn't know what was after me, that's more terrifying than 10, 20, 30 pages of anything that's describing what's chasing them.
Yeah, really. Like the first time I tried to read Harry Potter, I couldn't get through the first page, the first like chapter of one of the books, because all it was like describing a farmhouse and like this old man, and I was like, this is boring.
Yeah, see, it's not fun. Like I'd rather go watch the movie if it's going to be like that.
Exactly, because the movie you get all that information in like one shot. And, oh, okay, 1 second, I get what this farmhouse looks like.
J.K. Rowling is a saint who practices witchcraft.
She got a pentagram. I heard she has a pentagram carved in her forehead.
Oh, really? That must be taking some work. Wow.
Yeah, when you see pictures of her, they photoshopped that out pretty well.
Oh, obvious. She has to like please the masses. Can't be going around.
But yeah, that's why I like comics so much. I mean, you see the images on the page, but it's just dialogue, and you imagine what's actually happening, panel to panel.
Yeah.
And you have to fill it in, and I think a lot of novels do that. Like I said, Hemingway does that a lot. He barely describes what's happening, but you just sort of see it unfold in as few words as possible. And that's just that's. I'm not saying the other styles. I'm not saying like J.K. Rowling's style is worse or anything, but I just like to make it my own, and I think a lot of people do.
So okay, so that's really cool. So like, what do you think? Do you think that's? I mean, of course, it's just the way the person that you are. What do you think? Like, in your past, do you think there's anything that like caused you to like dialogue better rather than the descriptions? Just in your past, in your life or something, or is it just the way you are?
It's going to sound stupid, but I remember the first time I watched Clerks, and just the the Kevin Smith film, and just the banner that they had made me want to write dialogue. I don't know why it did, but something clicked in me where I was like, I mean, I guess maybe it's at the time when I watched it and what I was, reading at school, because in school, I was reading things like, I don't know, like To Kill a Mockingbird, which I like that now, but back then, it's like
it was like
dry,
9th grade or 10th grade.
Yeah, 9th grade, and it's like, oh, this is dry, or like reading Julius Caesar, which again I like now, but it's like, this is boring, and I don't like reading the Odyssey, and this is just all stupid, but and it sort of made like literature for a time just like really dry and boring to me, but then I started like watching those films. I don't know what it was, but it was like a book started unfolding on, in front of me. And I was like, well, this is what dialogue can be. And this is, what storytelling can be. And, so I just, started writing my own stuff, and, I fell in love with that style, and I never went back.
Awesome. Like, you having the age on us, like, I can see that. You, like, see what you want to do. You see the potential of something that can be, and you want to express it to other people and things like that. But you having the age over us, Like, would you say that age, not just learning things, but it develops, like you start writing about different things and newer things and experiences and things like that?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wrote, I guess maybe like my senior year of high school, I wrote a short story. It just hit me, and it's about a guy falling in love and then being betrayed by having like a militia just spraying bullets on top of him, and his fiance betrayed him. And that's really deep for
Did you
like
write
a
for The
17.
Sopranos or something?
No, it just came to me. I don't know. Like I remember what happened was like I just got an image of like somebody wearing like a fake like blood pack vest and using that to trick somebody thinking they've been shot, and it just went from there.
That's cool.
And it's like, that's pretty deep for somebody that's like 17. And I would write something like that now, maybe I wouldn't even think about something like that now. But I don't know. That's just inspiration though. I think now as you get older, like your style changes and you get better the more you practice. But I mean, there's like, you hear about kids that self-publish their books and they're like 14, and I mean they're writing some pretty deep stuff. Like I remember reading somebody's work online one time when they were 13 and they were writing about like what their daughter was going to look like at their wedding, and I was like, you're 13 and shouldn't be writing about this. Like it's just that's just inspiration for you. When inspiration hits you, it doesn't matter the age. You get inspired.
It hits you, and guess
Yeah.
what? That's assault. You can take that.
I'd like to think of it more like love making, but
still, maybe you take that to the police? I don't know.
If you get a disease.
All right. So,
Get an alibi.
So yeah, just expanding on that story about like you being 17 and just thinking about that picture of the person with the blood packets. So is that like how you get your inspiration for your stories? You just like see images in your head, or are there different ways that you get inspirations?
It punches you in the face, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean it just comes to me like a random. I'll see something random and it'll come to me. Like for example, like I remember in college I was driving down this highway, and it was during the summer. There was nobody there. And I was looking around. I was like, it felt like something straight out of Fallout. And then I started thinking like, well, what would that be like? And that ended up becoming a short story.
Oh.
Which ended up becoming sort of a mini novel that I haven't finished because I got burned out on it. But beside the point. But but just that little moment, that little image developed into something, pretty big. that same guy like, I had put like these guys were like in one of my stories I wrote. Some guys were trying to solve a Sudoku. Yeah, my tongue got tied. Sudoku puzzle, and I don't remember what the time or the environment of the world was, but he basically said, "Yeah, I don't think they'd be doing that. I don't think they'd be have Sudoku there that time." And I'm like, it's not your story. There's time travel involved in this. Anything's possible.
Well, maybe he just couldn't solve the puzzle. He was kind of mad about it or something.
Yeah, he has a stigma against Sudoku.
Against Sudokus. He was gonna write about it.
This guy couldn't open a paper bag. It looked like.
All right. Ouch. A lot of harshness. Oh, man.
So safe to say you've had to deal with some less than nice and less than normal people in your career.
Yeah, I mean, granted, a lot of them were pretty nice. They were just, I didn't want to hang out with them because I sort of got like a stalker vibe, from a lot of them. But yeah, there's a lot of them that are, they're pretty mean. They're just out to, nitpick and insult anything and everything they can come in contact with. There's those people too.
Yeah. We know a few of those.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, like a lot of those people, like even though they are who they are, sometimes they have pretty good advice, even if you can like look past the douchebaggery and pick and choose from it. But most of the time, they're just out to be venomous.
Well, Salazar Slytherin was a snake, and J.K. Rowling is an author. So, let's try to.
What does that mean?
Well, he said venomous, and I.
All right.
Let's try to bridge a gap here. All right. So Dylan and I involved in drama. All right. And Dusty Wright, he writes things. Dusty, have you ever written like a screenplay or a play? Anything?
No, I never have done that. I've always wanted to, but I've never I've never had a reason to do it because if I'm going to do that, I want somebody to act it, And I was never in the drama club at my high school because it really didn't exist. I went to a forensics thing for improv like one day, and that was it. I quit after that.
Yeah.
We have a pretty strong forensics team, don't we?
Yeah, I think we do. I only know like a couple people on it, but yeah, I think we have a strong forensics team at our school.
You should re-enroll, Dusty.
Yeah, I remember when I went, I got teamed up with like some Mexican guy. Not being racist or anything, he was really Mexican, but he barely spoke. And so it's pretty hard to we had like 20 minutes to plan our skit, so it's kind of hard to plan. And he was playing Mr. Rogers, and I was playing like this Vietnamese patty farmer.
Now
and we walked
racist.
in, and we walked in, and I'm not kidding, like 90% of the people in the classroom were Asian.
Ooh.
So I'm like, I'm gonna die. And so I just went on for it, and then I was as stereotypical as I could be. I had the buck teeth out. I was like, I'll just go for it.
Did they attack you?
I thought I was going to be killed. And that's when I quit.
Yeah, better to quit than die,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Yeah, but just I really think though, at some point if you wanted to write a screenplay, that'd be like I feel like how you're saying everything's like dialogue driven for you.
Yeah, that's
like screenplays are mostly dialogue driven. So I think that would be a good fit for you whenever you get the drive to.
Yeah, I've always thought I'd be good at it, but like I said, like you can't really publish screenplays unless you have somebody to act them out. And so I guess if I had the audience for it, people that really wanted to put it on, I'd definitely do it.
Did you know that you can access any screenplay ever written on the internet?
Can you?
Yeah, my dad hit me to it. And I also, one time I got spammed. Someone sent me the entire Fellowship of the Rings Screenplay on my phone, and
On
it
your
took
phone?
about 6 hours to get the whole thing sent to me. My phone like shut down a couple times because it was too many messages. But you can really get any screenplay you want.
What
Like,
did you get that? Did you get that through a text message?
yeah, I was through. It was,
How many words was that?
how many text messages was that? I think I had to get a new phone.
Did you have unlimited text?
Yeah, I did at the time. So
Okay, good. That'd have been like $500 or more.
$500. Dylan's loving it. You're
So
loving
good.
the 6 hours I had to sit through. My phone vibrating.
People could be dying in that 6 hours and you would never know.
I wouldn't know anything.
Did you not think to go online and read it?
Well, I had to read it eventually, and now I know
you just had to read it right then.
I know that whole story arc now, word by word. But like first hour, I was pretty angry. Second hour, I was like, all right, this is good. Okay, you can stop now. Third hour, deep into it, I was like, you know what? These guys are kind of funny. Fourth hour, I tried to destroy my phone several different ways. Then deep in the fifth inning, I tried to call the person, ask them to stop doing what they were doing, but that wasn't happening. I just got Gandalf on the line. And 6 hour, I'd let it happen. I let it take me, and you know what? I think I'm a better person for it.
Dusty, you mentioned it before. You said you are on the GeekPod usually.
Yeah, I'm on there every week.
Yeah, of course, GeekPod Audio Network, where we are hosting our Forte podcast. Everybody knows. Where would you? Considering like when you're podcasting, it's usually just like off the cuff, whatever you're thinking. And then when you're writing, you said sometimes you get in the character's head and you just say what you think they would say. Is there any overlap between those two worlds?
Do you mean like, do I insert myself into some characters?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, there's bits and pieces maybe. It's mostly, I guess, a lot of it's sort of like fan fiction of what I would be in some cases. So, like if part of my personality comes through in a character, it's like sort of elevated a little bit further. Like maybe more badass or more cunning. Things like that. But I try my hardest to sort of separate myself from a character and sort of just make an original character. But really, I mean, you can't really do that though a lot of times because you kind of write what you know, and what you know is based on sort of who you are in some instances. So I sort of try to make a combination of a character, especially main character, and try to sort of make it its own personality, its own thing. When I'm writing like supporting characters, things like that, a lot of times it's based on maybe people I know or people I've seen, just things like that. More. So I guess in a weird way, like sort of supporting characters are sort of like what I observe other people to be. I guess in a weird way you could say, and it's not really like about me personally. So I guess it's weird in that aspect, but
yeah, that makes sense. Like that's pretty similar to acting, actually. Like you try to make yourself a totally different person, but you always like kind of go back to what experiences you've drawn on.
And just kind of about that a little bit more. Like when you write a main character, you sort of like you base that around like things you've experienced, but internally. But supporting characters, you sort of borrow from experiences you see externally. Like I said, observing other people and kind of basing them on that. So. Yeah, I actually never thought about it like that before, but it is weird how that happens.
Yeah. So what happens to you when you're writing a character that's like, because you try and separate them from yourself, trying to make them something that's like not all about you. Do you ever run into a problem where you like start writing a character, but then like you don't know enough about what you're trying to write them to be?
Yes, I mean. It happens, but I sort of just take it slow. Like for instance, like if I sort of like run into a wall where I don't know what they would do, I just kind of use my gut instinct and choose what they would do. And if I have to go back and edit that, to me it'll stand out where it doesn't make sense later on as I develop the character. And that's what editing's for, though. Anyway, you can go back and fix the things that don't make sense, character wise. But most of the times, like if I run into a wall like that, I just go on gut instinct. I kind of think to myself, what am I trying to get out of this character? What would the character do if this is if this was real life? And how would they react? Accordingly. And usually I'll get my answer.
Have you ever written anything that like you don't edit at all? You just have to go with it, like kind of like improv.
Yeah, well, I never edit anything until I'm completely done with it. So I just really go with it until I think it's finished, and then I'll go back and edit it. The only time I won't do that is if just something really bugs me and something just glaringly obvious, obviously needs to be fixed.
It's like a bug on your screen.
Yeah. I'll just go back and fix that. But I don't write something and then spend like a month editing that. I think I don't know how it happens, but in a way that takes sort of the passion and the off the cuffness, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Of the work, and it makes it less real. It makes it sort of artificial.
Yeah.
Ooh, I do feel that. Yeah. Yeah, like when you first make something, you're all excited. Like, wow, I gotta write this down. I gotta do something to it. And then things develop from that. But then if you try to go and
I've done that too. Like I've thought, oh, maybe this is good enough, maybe this isn't good enough, and I've edited it down, and what I'm left with is something that I hate, and I'll just end up throwing it away and doing something else, and it's time lost, and you've killed your work, and that's lost, so you got to start from scratch on something else, and it never works really.
Yeah, I think it's like. Sorry, were you gonna say something?
That I do that a lot with songs, and it's really annoying. But go ahead, Dylan.
I was gonna say, I think the way Dan Harmon puts it, he's like a writer for Community and Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
The way he puts it was like, when you're writing, it's like an energy is moving through you and like going onto the paper. But then if you try and like harness that energy to do what you want, it won't like listen to you or whatever. And so that's kind of what you're saying. It won't turn out how you want it to be.
Yeah, because I mean, like, writing, like, I mean, it's really, you're really capturing a moment in time, based on like what somebody did, and you're capturing what was in their mind, and what they were thinking, what they were passionate about, all that stuff. You're capturing that on paper, and if you try to, like I said, make that artificial, try to edit that, try to change that, you're left with something less.
Yeah, wow. I didn't. Because like if you write something like at one point in your life and then you write it at a different time, it's not going to sound. If you try to write in the same style you were before, it wouldn't work if you're not feeling that same thing.
Ooh,
I mean,
that's
it's
odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird because like writing sort of like, I've always thought of it like writing sort of the it's sort of like the original sort of like video camera, I guess. I mean, you're capturing things, in a different way.
One of the purely human arts.
Yeah, and if you watch Rick and Morty, I mean, I love that show, and every time I watch it, like I listen to the dialogue and I think about like how that was potentially written, and those guys don't edit anything. Like, and you can tell because the dialogue that they come up with, like the one-liners, it's like I could never do that if I thought about it. But but you can tell it just comes to them, and like the situations, the scenarios, like like only once would I ever think of like a thumb trying to rape me. Like that would only come to my mind once. I could never stop and try to think about that happening. But to those guys, like it came to them once, and they thought that was awesome, and they wrote it down. And there you go.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Now, Dusty, you were brought up by humans, I'm assuming. You had a childhood.
Somewhat.
And you went to school. You talked about your experiences How do you think your upbringing, and if you care to share anything about it, like how do you think that influenced the way you write?
I don't know exactly. I grew up in the South, as you can probably tell by my voice, and so and by the South I mean like the deep Southeast, very rural.
Antarctica.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that, away from everything. Farming community that I grew up, that I lived in and went to high school at, and everything. And so there wasn't anything to do. And so basically all there was to, play my Nintendo 64, browse
Good
like
decision.
56K, actually it wasn't even 56K internet speeds, like 18.8K internet speeds.
Oh.
Or, write, or play with my action figures. And that was about it, because I lived, like I didn't have any friends around there. Like, I think my nearest neighbor was like 5 miles away down a dirt road. So I mean, really all there was to, create and read and, be creative. And I guess out of necessity, to curb my boredom, I just started writing. And I remember in second grade, my teacher, she would make us write like a story every week. And I don't know what happened, but I started doing that, and something clicked in me, and I started writing fan fiction about like Super Nintendo video games for whatever reason, and read them in front of class, and that's why I never had a girlfriend from then on. But something clicked in me, and I wrote ever since then. Not like every day or every week or anything, but off and on I would write, and I was always interested in writing from then onward. And so, it's just something I did.
So was it always something that you were thinking like, oh, I can do this for the rest of my life? Or is it like, did you ever have any other career thought paths, or did you ever consider that this would be your career when you grew up?
I mean, I remember when I was in elementary school, I remember I always wanted to be an author, but as I got older, I wanted to make video games, or I wanted to do, do this or that. But it always boiled down to I wanted to make stories in some fashion. And I remember I originally went to school to do something like information technology with computers, but I'm awful at math. And so, I went from the furthest thing that I could find that was away from computers, which was journalism. And I had a love for writing anyway, so it is kind of a sign to me. I thought, what, if I'm going to if I suck at this, I might as well just go full ahead and try to make a living writing, like I've always wanted to do. And so that's what I did.
And so so these things that you write at your day job, basically, do you like you said you had to write about, what was it? What'd you say you had to write about?
It's a little like
lumberjacks or whatever.
Yeah, like locksmiths, and I wish I wish it was lumberjacks to be more interesting.
So I'm assuming that means you don't get much of a choice in what you write about.
Oh my God.
I mean, I used to. I mean, I like most of my job for a long time was just like writing about video games all day. Like I got paid for that. But I mean, so many people are kind of wanting to do what I do now, and there's a lot of I'm trying to be racist, but foreigners coming in and kind of working for much less, to a point where it's not, it's not affordable for me to write that price, and so I really don't have a choice that much anymore. Hence why I wrote about locksmiths for 3 years, and yeah, I don't really have a lot of room to like pick and choose anymore, and I actually take care of my daughter all day, so I don't really have too much time to write a lot, for my day job anyway. So it kind of makes sense now that I can't find a lot of work anyway. But it works out.
Well, speaking of your kids, I was gonna say, speaking of your children, like since you've had a kid, since you've done all this growing up, do you think like being a family man has changed your writing style?
No, I mean, if anything, it's made me like, I don't know, maybe more vulgar. and like more dark. But well, the weird thing about it is like I have actually noticed that like my writing can get darker because I sort of have a dark place to borrow from now. Like before, I guess before I had a kid, I guess that dark place I could what if something happened to my wife, but now it's like what if something happens to my daughter? I could borrow from that dark place and
Yeah, that's pretty out.
yeah, it'd make something like really gruesome if I want to. And
Wow, that's all right, kids. If you want to write better, have a kid.
like, I mean, I think as I get older, like I'll probably like my writing probably could mellow out, which isn't a bad thing because that happens naturally, and it's the people that it happens to normally, they're better for it, because that's just their careers evolving and their style evolving. But yeah, I had this suspicion too, like maybe I would mellow out a little bit more, but it hasn't happened at all. It's maybe if anything it's the opposite because now I can find something to stress about and put that in my writing.
Well, that's good. We wouldn't want you going soft.
Ew.
So, you said you're not yet getting paid, of course, for doing your passion work yet, but you hope to one day. And so, do you have in any foreseeable future know when you're planning on like finishing your novels, or is that just whenever you get the feeling for it?
Well, I mean, right now I could probably like I could put a bunch of these short stories together and do like a collection and self-publish it, but I kind of want to try and find a publisher first because so many people are self-publishing, and I really don't have the energy to go on Twitter and say, "Hey, read my book," and all that. And I'd probably have to do that anyway if I got a publisher, but I don't know, like maybe I may have like an old school way of thinking, because I kind of want somebody to come to me. I want to publish what I'm writing, instead of like self-publishing, because anybody can self-publish, but not everybody can, get published by a publisher, even though they're kind of dying, but they're not really dying so much anymore. They're kind of having a resurgence. It's sort of small, but they're sort of having one. But yeah, novel-wise, I'm slowly and surely working on one. And I'm working on another one off and on, and I don't know when it's gonna be done, but I'd say sooner than later. I'm making pretty good progress on it.
Do you want to tease what that is to the audience?
Yeah, the one I'm working on right now, it's if you sort of imagine like Blade Runner mixed with Better Call Saul, sort of in a way, mixed with like a detective story. That's kind of what that is. Basically, it's like. Now, we were talking about, writing about what you know. I was, the main character is like a former writer who's been like, he's been pretty much reduced to nothing because, it's so far in the future that artificial intelligence can write human speech, so writers aren't needed anymore.
I read part of the story.
Yeah, and so he lives in like a utilitarian sort of, or I guess more like a totalitarian. I'm a tongue about totalitarian government, and it's sort of one of the stipulations of that government is that if you do any type of detective work, it's sort of seen as treason, and they just take you out in the back and shoot you with a shotgun, pretty much.
Ooh.
And so the only way this guy can like he's like at his wit's end, and he gets approached about investigating something that's happened to this woman's husband, and he ends up going to like a brony convention and having to like dress up in a brony outfit and sneak in. And so like one thing leads to another, and he kind of goes down the rabbit hole, and he becomes an illegal detective.
Dude,
that sounds really
sweet.
cool.
Oh my god, sounds super.
But it's funny though because like he doesn't have any skills at doing that, and so there's this one part where he's trying to steal this guy's car, and he goes up, and the only thing he thinks about is like, well, if I hit him in the back of the head, I'll knock him out, and I can throw him in the back of the trunk. Well, he gets the butt of his gun, and he hits him in the back of the head, and the guy just stares at him, and he's like, what are you doing? So he starts hitting harder and harder and harder, and he ends up like hitting him in the back of the head like 6 times until he finally like
trauma
knocks him out. And it's like when he's in the brony convention, He's trying to he's trying to find this person, but he's in a brony outfit, so he can't find where he's at or anything. And so his broad idea is that he sneaks into the DJ booth and he starts like using the turntable to like make his own like mix. And he gets on the microphone and he starts like yelling the guy's name to see if he's going to look over. And so he's going to try to identify him. And so he,
of all the people,
yeah.
Why is he calling this?
Yeah.
How does this DJ know me?
Yeah, so it's like a record scratch, and it's like a Robert, scratch, DJ scratch, Robert Lake.
Well, that sounds killing, dude. But so like the thing, man versus machine, yes.
I don't really go there. I mean, he doesn't really try to take out the AI or anything, but he's more like, he's just pissed about it, but he's just trying to make a living, kind of living under the grid a little bit.
So this like doesn't reflect any kind of views you have towards millennials or our generation, so to speak.
Actually, it's funny you said that because I got the idea one day when I was driving around in my pickup that's about to fall apart, and I thought, you know what, I'll work my ass off. My pickup's falling apart, and baby boomers are calling us lazy, and it just pissed me off. And I'm like, there's a book in that somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's like, yeah, that's pretty much what you just said. I think is like one of the lines in the book too. So yeah, the dialogue-driven thing you're talking about is it's really there.
No, I'm not sure where the cigarette smoking robot helper in his house came from, but I just thought that was funny. Actually, that was inspired by Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, dude, I love that scene. Oh, that always scared the heck out of me. I could never watch it. I don't know why I can't. It's ridiculous. That is a killing movie.
Yeah, I love that movie. I love Pee-wee Herman.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen it, Dylan?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's on Netflix. You gotta peep it. It's so good.
So Dusty, you said you mentioned before you used to have a job in video game writing and doing that stuff. And on the GeekPod, you've told that story about that lady who wouldn't hire you because she thought video game writers were biased or something.
Yeah.
And so, like, have you encountered that kind of like prejudice, I guess, before, or like any kind of people stereotyping you in the workplace?
Well, I don't really go out for many interviews because I kind of just stick with what I'm doing. But I mean, I have in a way, like, whenever I've went for a few interviews, I tell them what I do, and they're just looking at me basically like, so you couldn't find work anywhere else, or like, if it's a reporting job, they're just like, oh, you wrote about video games, well, anybody can do that. But I've met a few people who are like, they're genuinely interested in what I've done. They kind of see like what it is, like, you kind of like, you carved a niche for yourself, you kind of carved a path, and it shows initiative, and so some people are interested, but I find that that's a really good way, if I'm going to work out outside the house, that's a really good way to gauge who's worth working for, and who I should avoid. And in her case, like, she wasn't going to pay me anything anyway, so it's like $20,000 for associate producer at a TV station. Like, come on. That's highway robbery. So I said no, thank you. Because even when I write maybe like for my normal day job, I write maybe 2 hours a day now. I make more than that now. So like, why would I do that?
Yeah, that makes way more sense. So do you like work from home mostly now?
Yeah, I've worked from home for 5 years. Ever since I graduated college, I worked from home.
That's the life, man. Not
Living
having to
the
like
dream.
Yeah, that's a huge perk of all this. Like, even if I when I've struggled, I'm like, this doesn't seem worth it. I thought, I don't have to get up at a decent time or anything. I can, I don't have to get up early. I can work in whatever I want to. I don't have to deal with anybody. I could stay at home and write. Like my dream is not to make like a ton of money. It's just not to have to work around people. And if I can do that, like, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
What a time we live in.
Yeah, my dad thinks I'm crazy. He's like, you've never worked around anybody professionally in your life. I'm like, hey, you know, don't get pissed off because you didn't think about it, because you don't have to.
Just because you have to go out there and actually
Yeah.
do work doesn't mean that I can't just sit home and work without having to deal with people.
I mean, he's a legit farmer now, though. So like he just goes out and stays by himself all day. So I guess in his way he's transitioned. So I don't understand why he's busting my balls about it, because he's doing the same thing I am in a way.
He just has to do it outside.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. He's got to sweat outside all day in the horrible Arkansas heat.
Ouch. Ooh, how hot does it get over there?
Well, I guess, temperature wise, it's not any hot. It's I mean, it's hot, but it's like not the hottest place in the country. But I mean, when you figure in humidity, it's awful. So like I used to work outside in the fields all day, like, hauling hay and all that, and it would get to maybe 110, but with humidity it'd be like 118.
Wow.
Ooh, that's worse than here.
Yeah, it's like
That's a lot.
it's weird because like when it gets that hot, and it gets that hot quite a bit, like every other summer it seems like it gets that hot that often, pretty often, and it's like by the time like 12 o'clock in the afternoon hits, you have to go inside or you're gonna have a heat stroke, like a legit heat stroke.
Wow. That's wow.
Now,
Because
Dylan, how long you think we've been going now? About a clean hour?
I'd say about 45 minutes, maybe 50.
Well, all right. Now that we're getting towards the end, I do want to I want to ask Dusty a question.
All right, go ahead.
Dylan will need you to. I want to tell him some of our favorite writers, if he knows of them. I want to hear his judgment on them. I want to hear what he thinks about.
All right.
All right, Dylan, who's a writer of yours you admire?
All right. Come back to me because I don't know.
All right. Who do I got in the pot? Let's see. Oh, I do like Haruki Murakami. Have you heard of him?
I probably heard of what he wrote. What?
He's done Kafka on the Shore. He's done. Oh my God! Wait, my dad has the most killing tattoo. Yeah, my dad hit me to him. He's super great. God, I can't think of. I read this one book.
Oh, he did 1Q84.
Yeah, IQ84. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome.
Awesome. All right.
Sputnik Sweetheart.
Yeah, the Wind Up Bird Chronicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I just wanted to hear you talk trash, and then, but you didn't, so that's cool. You got anyone, Dylan?
I'm not a booksy person. I'd rather, I haven't read anything really in a long time, and even when I did, it wasn't anything like indie like you. But apparently Nicholas wanted to hear you talk trash. So, what writers don't you like their style about that you can talk trash about?
More or whatever. Like I can't. Or yeah, Stephanie Meyers. Like I can't even talk trash about her. Like that's just. She just sucks. Like there's nothing else to say about it. I don't know, the guy that wrote 50 Shades of Grey. Like if you've actually tried to read like 50 Shades of Grey, it's like there's so many errors in that book that should have been caught. I don't know how they're even in there.
It was just bad, prose.
Yeah. Let me think. Who do I not like that's actually good, or could be classified as good? Let me think. I'm not really sure. Nobody's really coming to the top of my head. I mean, I don't know. Like, if somebody's like really, somebody's like legit good, even if I don't like their style, like I can find something to like usually with them.
That's good.
It's just the people that like can't write worth a damn that end up making a lot of money that really makes me mad, that makes me hate them.
That's everywhere. All these platforms, like all the radio you listen to. Like, how is this? Why are people listening to it? Just it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's this one weird. This is like off topic, but there's this one radio station that my little sister listens to, and it's just got like weird remixes of pop songs and then like classical songs with them, and it doesn't. And they're not good remixes, and I don't know why she listens to it and why they put it on the air. But
that sounds killing. I thought it would be good, but
I mean,
no.
I can like send you a link to a radio station. I don't know.
Well, I love Legend of Zelda, so I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Does that? I think that about that Christmas wraps all the gifts up.
Yeah, just maybe just one last question. I mean, it's a question that everyone's always asking. What advice would you give to somebody who wanted to start writing?
I would say, don't do your research and don't, look around online and, try to find don't Google how to write or the best way to write or how to make characters or anything. Just do it.
Nike.
I get LinkedIn spam all the time, and unfortunately, I'm a part of like writing groups. In the event that I get some leads for jobs, which never happens, on LinkedIn, and like all the time, like I see these these threads pop up in my email of people saying like, what's the best way to make a character that's like this, or how do you write like around a theme or location and things like that. And it drives me crazy. I'm like, you've got to figure that out for yourself. Like the amount of reading that you do isn't going to matter. Like it's just a lesson you can only learn yourself. I don't remember who said it, but they say, if you want to build a house, don't read and learn how to build a house. Just build a house, and that's the best way to learn. Just to do. That'd be my best. Just do.
Yeah.
That's hard hitting.
Yeah, that's like the one thing you can't teach is creativity.
Yeah, and I guess if you want to write, don't put it off. Just write every day, even if it sucks. You'll gradually get better and better. I mean, I've been writing since second grade, and I'm still not that good. So, but it's funny because I'll go back and read something I wrote 5 years ago, and I noticed the change. I noticed that I'm better now, and so I would say in that regard, I would say don't delete anything. Like even if it sucks, don't delete anything.
Mm-hmm.
Back it up on Dropbox or whatever, and go back 6 months or a year from now, read what you wrote and see the change, and use that as your motivation because you may not think you're getting better, but you do.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, it's embarrassing too, but.
Well, Dusty, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks. I had fun.
Express an interest in us, young teens of this generation.
We're just dudes.
Being guys.
Yeah. And y'all's part of my generation anyway. So I'm maybe a decade older, but we're in the same boat.
Yeah. We're like brothers from another mother.
Yeah, from across distant lands.
So you got any closing remarks, Dylan?
Dusty, do you want to plug anything? I know you have several podcasts on this network.
Yeah, just I guess GeekPod every week. I think Josh has those go up about every Thursday. I'm actually thinking about going back and doing another episode of my paranormal show. I haven't had time lately, but I'm going to try and do some more of that next year.
Yeah, I must say I'm a huge fan of that. The What an Anomaly show. I love that.
Yeah, it's creepy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote you that in the one time after your first episode. I thought it was something I could just I'll listen to this while I'm falling asleep. No, I had nightmares. It was so scary.
Dylan, so weak.
Yeah, I recorded that in my basement, and I was scaring the shit out of myself. I actually ended it early and went to bed.
Kept all the lights on.
Yeah. Yeah, I even had the lights on in the basement, like every light on in there. It's like, I thought I was hearing stuff, and you know how your mind plays tricks on you. And
yeah.
I thought I was seeing like shadows and stuff, so I was ended it and went to bed.
Yeah. And like every time that I hear like a knock on the door that I'm not expecting or anything, I'm always thinking it's gonna be those black-eyed kids.
Oh, did you like that one too?
Yeah, I like that one too. That was really good.
The one about the time traveler who like got captured by those was so creepy because like I actually heard the audio of that. Like the guy was on the air talking about that, and it was so creepy and scary that like I wanted to link it, but it'd probably get taken down for like infringement. But
Yeah.
it was so scary. But yeah, I'll do another one like that. Hopefully, sooner than later. I just don't really have the time to do it lately.
Yeah, you got a life, man. You got kids or a kid. You got a wife.
Yeah, I got bills.
Yeah.
Bills to pay. Gotta get them food on the table and hope they don't die of starvation. Actually, my wife's a veterinarian, so you know I've got some leg room. But
Got that
Yeah.
good pay.
well, it's decent pay.
Got that decent pay.
I'm having to pay on student loans and like labor bills and health insurance bills, and
Yee.
I'm still paying my taxes from this year because I'm self-employed and tax rate's like 14%.
That must be taxing work.
Yeah, it sucks. Growing up sucks. It's just
So everybody listening, just don't grow up.
yeah, just kill yourselves once you hit like 20.
There, that's it. That's the.
that's my go home advice.
Yep. And with that note,
With that, yes.
thank you everybody for listening to the Forte Podcast, episode 6. 5?
D.
6. I don't know.
Sounds like
301.
301. Yeah. All right. I'm Nicholas.
I'm Dylan. If you would like to suggest somebody to be on the podcast, or you yourself would like to be on the podcast, or you have questions for us, feel free to email us at fortepodcast at gmail.com. FORTE podcast POD. I don't have to spell podcast. You know how to spell podcast. At gmail.com.
Thank you once again to Dusty, our guest for this evening. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
You're
Had
welcome.
A great time. And good night. Are we back online?
GeekPod Audio Network.